So, assuming you've already read about the governing structures of the cooperative, this is a depiction of that. I'll release it slowly. So focus on one circle at a time, one semicircle. So in the core, first semicircle is the three main roles: the General Assembly President, the Primary Director of the Board of Directors, and the Primary Supervisor. And as we go out from the circle to the next level, we have the board of the General Assembly, the other directors in the board of directors who are secondary, and the other supervisors in the supervisory board. And as you see, there are these arrows here showing as you go out from the center, we have less responsibility, less work and time commitment. And these three in the center, they have the final responsibility for everything, and they have more commitment. So the next level out are the different sectors, and we've got agricultural, education, services, housing and construction, consumption, marketing, cultural, and in this level of responsibility are the coordinators of each sector. And then the next out is the board of each sector. So there will be a central coordinator, but then other people can be on the board for each one who help with managing, but the main responsibility for each sector is with the main coordinator in this level. And then outwards of that, there will be members who don't hold any management roles, but they must be subscribed to at least one sector and the assembly of that sector, the sector assembly. So they will at least be part of the activities of the sector and part of making decisions about it. And then the last two are collaborating members and non-members, and people who are in the trial period at the beginning, part of the joining process, might be first non-members, and then they might become collaborating members, and then they move in. So that's potential residents. Investors might be in either, and supporters might be in either. So a simplified version of this is what I want to focus on, and I've done it like a board game. So it's got again the central core roles, the board of directors, assembly board, supervisory board, the different sectors for the coordinators, and then the next level out is the board, the sectoral boards, and just being members of the assemblies of each sector. And then we can have members who are residents and they don't hold management roles, trial period, investors, volunteers, supporters. So the idea is each colour represents a person. So imagine someone's coming in as a trial period, and then they go through the trial period and they are accepted, so they can become members. And maybe even during the trial period, they are signed up to one of the assemblies and joining in with the activities. So in this case, education, maybe that person's part of running the forest school, for example, and then they're accepted as members. And at that point, they can have the right to become part of the management role. So maybe they become part of the board of the education. So that's how people would join. But of course, for that to happen, it has to have already started with some founders. And ideally, we need the three core roles already filled to form the co-op and actually start the project. So at the beginning, say it's just 3 people in the co-op and starting the project, and they're holding those 3 roles. They also need to be holding the sectors, so they can be on the board of the sectors. So say they're just distributed and each one's holding multiple sectors, which is possible. And the rules say that they're not allowed to be in these coordinator roles, because they're holding those roles, but they can be on the board, and so in that way 3 people can hold all of the different parts of the co-op from the beginning. And then when a trial member starts, and again, imagine it's Orange doing the same thing, being involved in education, and then they're accepted and they become a member, they might then move up and want to release that person from the core responsibility and step into a coordinator role for education. So they're still part of what they were doing at the beginning, but they've got more responsibility now. And this person can still be on the board, but they're second in command for that. So they don't have full responsibility, and this person holds the full responsibility. So imagine people are joining in that way, and they're taking on these roles, and even, say it's that one, and even then these people could actually drop out from those positions, because this is enough to hold it, and actually it's better to have them in the proper coordinator role, which these are not able to hold. So the invitation is for you who are interested in joining to go through this as a simulation and imagine if you were joining, what might you be interested in. So if I need another colour, but I'll invite you to have your own colours. So if it's this white one you can just about see, and you're doing a trial period, where would you put yourself? Are you interested in doing some natural building, for example, and being in here? And then imagine if you got accepted to be a member, what kind of level of responsibility might you be interested in? And at this stage anyway, we haven't filled all these roles, so actually the project can't exist until we filled them. I would say this one is the most needs the most commitment and is the most work, being the board of directors, because they're responsible for the operations of everything, and they delegate to these people. So imagining if I'm working in that role, then really we're looking to find someone to fill this role, which is the General Assembly President, which is a bit of a lighter role because they only have to do minimum of 2 meetings a year to agree all of the plans for the year and approve the previous year's reports on the management and reports on the accounts. And then this needs a third person, which is an even lighter role because they're really just in a supervisory responsibility, keeping an eye on these people and being a point of contact between the rest of the membership if they have any issues about the people in these roles. So that's quite a light role. So at the moment, it's needing to find 2 founder members who can fill these 2 roles, basically, at minimum. And if we find more founders who can fill those roles and, say, even can be part of the boards of the different boards, then that's even better. But for the minimum, it needs these 3. So a mission is to now induct people about that and go through the joining process and see is that a role that they might be interested in, and then as it comes to it, to commit to forming the co-op and paying the deposit for the land. That's the main check, is to see are we a solid enough group to hold that together. And during the incubation period and the team trial period, which is happening from mid-May, then we can even be testing that out and just trying it. Like, imagine if we are in those roles, let's already be operating in the simple way we can in this temporary stage before we bought the land, and see how that feels. So that's it, and I will potentially digitalize this so people can work with it, otherwise you can do it on video call. So let's see how that works. Thank you.